When officers receive 2 calls about the same murder, it's a little weird. The fact that the second call was made only 2 minutes after the first is strange. But when both men claim to have been in the house and both found the victim dead, it's just a little too coincidental for me. But we know this for sure. Someone is definitely lying. Someone is definitely getting locked up. And Helen is definitely going to say, "Who is this to every suspect I mention." We are your hosts, Sherry Ferreira.
And Helen Allen.
This is The Chalk Line.
Good evening, everyone, and the highlights of the news this Thursday.
I hope you didn't feel personally attacked by my intro, but there's a lot of players in this case.
It's not that I feel personally attacked, but you did make me feel a little famous. Because only a famous person is so predictable.
Right? And has like a catchphrase.
You know my every move because you must listen to my podcast.
I must be a fan.
You must.
This week's case is in Andover, Minnesota. The year is 1991, and it's early Friday morning, like 3 a.m. early.
Okay, that's night for me, but whatever. I love when people say, it's early Friday morning. It's like, what do you mean, 8 a.m.?
Right.
It's 3 a.m., that's Thursday night. Sorry.
I actually got so confused reading, like, the, through the research and stuff, because it was, like, Thursday night, Friday morning. I'm like, just give me the time.
Just tell me the time, and then the date, I guess. Or, I don't know. Don't even do that. Whatever. Continue.
Officers get a call from Larry Fleck saying that he is at his fiance's house and she's dead. His fiance was Pamela Sweeney, and she was 35 at the time. Pamela had been divorced and she had a kid from this previous marriage too. And her son is Tony. He was 5 years old, and everyone says he was the most important thing to her. Her stepfather, Bob, describes her as full of life, which I know for a fact because in the Forensic Files episode I watched, there was this picture of her and Larry on, like, this, like, huge motorcycle, and, like, in my head they had on leather, like, they were just bad. That's how I picture them.
That's, like, literally Dominique and her boyfriend. I could never be a cool motorcycle girl.
Right? I'd be like, ooh, this is...
I smell danger. Right? I am not going.
I'd be the person next to the motorcycle for sure.
Yeah, no, for real. Okay, so she's cool.
Yeah, definitely cool. She had been working as a secretary for a computer company.
Okay, smart. Just taking notes over here.
No.
Cool, check.
Yeah,
smart, check.
And she had recently said yes to Larry's proposal. And to Larry, by all accounts, she was fine.
To Larry, by all accounts, she was fine? Like, he means, like...
Like, later on in the investigation, they try to, like, ask him, for suspects and stuff, because at this, if we're jumping to present day, he did just find her murdered, so he doesn't know of a reason why this could have happened or who could have done it.
Okay, because when you're like, but to Larry, by all accounts, she's fine. I'm like, fine, check. She is fine.
Fine. Larry worked as a construction worker, so he had crazy hours, which is how he ended up visiting Pamela at 3 a.m. Thank God Tony was not there that night, because Pamela had actually told her parents that she wasn't really feeling too well. So she asked them to watch Tony for her, and she even called out of work that day.
Okay. Does she live with Larry?
No.
Okay, so he's like sleeping over, like after work?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Pamela just wanted to have a chill night, maybe take a bath, but it's clear that she wanted to relax. So with Tony staying at her parents', Pamela called Larry to see what time he was coming home. Larry insists that he'd be home late, and he's like, I don't know why you want me over so late, like it's 3 a.m. But Pamela was very insistent that he come over that night regardless.
Okay. Do we know, like, specifically why we know this? Like, did Larry tell us this? Is there, like, a text message that we've seen? What year is this?
1991.
Okay, so no text message.
No text message. Larry doesn't know too much either. Honestly, he's in the dark, and he's just
But, like, did she call him? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, she called him.
I just want to know how we have the information that she was so insistent on him going.
Yeah, she was on the phone
because you know
with
I'm
him.
sniffing him out already.
Oh, already. Yeah.
You know.
I
So,
know
okay.
you. I know you.
Okay.
It's okay. And this brings us to present day. Larry says he got there at 3 a.m. when he is talking to police. This is like his recount of everything that he saw. He said he saw blood spattered across the bedroom, specifically on the headboard, and he saw a body rolled up in a blanket on the bed. Now, the body was lying across the bed, and when he approached it to take a look, he saw that it was Pamela.
Okay, when you say across the bed, do you mean like
opposite of where you would lay your head?
Okay, so interesting that the blood is on the headboard then. Was the body moved?
Yes.
Okay.
Larry says when he realized it was Pamela, he ran to neighbors to call police because he thought the killer was still there. And on the call, he does sound distressed, at least to me. And he says, she's dead. She is cut all to hell.
Ooh, kind of an interesting way to put that.
Yeah. Larry also tells officers that he saw a man in front of her yard that he didn't recognize. So he hangs up, and just 2 minutes later, they get another call. This call is made by Pamela's coworker, Patrick Walsh. He says, there's been somebody killed. He's saying this to like the dispatcher. And
Where is he?
He is inside. Actually, okay. So it's confusing whether this call came from inside the home or if it came from him outside of the home. I think it'll become clearer as we get through the story.
Okay. So,
which would explain him being outside a little bit, but
not really a great look because Larry had said he thought the killer might still be in the home. So the second phone call, I don't know, I was on to Larry, but now I'm on to Patrick.
It's everything. I was going to say peculiar. When have I ever said peculiar?
It's peculiar.
But it's definitely like
it's peculiar.
Weird.
I'm on your side about that.
Right? It's weird. So Patrick reports that it is Pamela Sweeney. He said that he spent the night at a bar called Old Piper Inn, drinking and playing pull tabs. I have no idea what that is.
It just sounds like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah. He said on his way home, he was driving by Pamela's house and saw her front, porch lights were on. So he decided to just stop by and check on her because, if you remember, she had called out of work that day. And they had been, working together for 8 to 10 years now. So they developed some sort of,
rapport.
Yeah, rapport, I guess.
I feel like, okay, he's driving home at 3 a.m. also?
Yeah.
If I saw someone's porch lights on at 3 a.m., I wouldn't be like, what the hell are they up to? I would be like, oh, maybe there's somebody that leaves their porch lights on at night.
Yeah.
Because my mom does that. That's not weird. It's kind of to show, hey, someone's home. You can't break into this house. You know what I mean? So I feel like
it's kind of a be aware thing. I can't even attribute that to it being 1991, I feel like. I just think it's weird by all means.
I think it's just a thing that people do, leaving porch lights on. So it's bizarre to me that he immediately thought let me check on her. There might be some issue that her porch lights are on.
Yeah, I agree. Patrick worked in the same company as Pamela, except he was a computer operator and was more of a supervisor.
Okay.
He says that he came in and saw her in the same position, shook her to see if she was still alive, then ran to call the police.
Okay, so he is letting them know he put his hands on her. Just saying.
Which will
he's crafting an alibi, but just saying.
Okay. And
I mean, I don't think it's Patrick yet. I don't have all the information, but he smells weird to me right now.
And that's okay. It's fine. I mean, both men do get questioned because even police are they're both who the hell are both of you? Exactly. They're not dumb. They're the prime suspects, whether they're officially written down as that or not. But I also wanted to just clear some things up. So both of these men, Larry and Patrick, did not know each other. Their only connection or link was just through knowing Pamela, and both men were at her house at 3 a.m.
I wonder if Pamela felt that she was in danger that night. And I wonder if that's why she had her son go to her parents' house. That's why she told Larry you must come over. Mm-hmm. Because she wanted kind of a witness. But also that could be a very convenient thing for Larry to say, that she said
that she wanted me over, I was supposed to be there anyway. It's sort of another way to set up an alibi.
Yeah, or even to say I can't be the bad guy because I'm the guy she wanted there, you know?
I'm the fiancé.
Yeah, it's just little old me with a ring.
Right. Larry talking to officers.
Who, little old me with this ring?
This rock.
I couldn't have done it. That's peculiar.
Larry has turned into a Southern Belle with pearls on.
Who am I? Okay.
When officers arrive, they take note of a couple of things. The blood spatter in the bedroom. There were bullet holes in her foyer, like impressions it made on the ground. And they noticed there was no forced entry. So her house wasn't broken into.
Huh. Okay. So that rings weird to me because...
You're like,
Let me get my vocal cords ready because I'm about to break this case.
Okay.
No, but okay, so my theory before was like, oh, maybe she knew she was in danger. Why, if she knew she was in danger and she had asked Larry to come over, and Patrick was the bad guy, let's say, in this situation.
Okay.
If she goes to the door and sees it's Patrick, she's not going to open it.
Exactly.
She feels like she's in danger. So if there's no forced entry, she probably didn't feel like she was in danger that night. And she probably didn't know to be cautious of who she let in.
Hyper aware. I think maybe it wasn't a full-on feeling. I think maybe she thought something bad would happen, but not to the point where she would have to, like, remove herself to not even be there to begin with, let's say. Like, why not just go stay with your parents?
Well, it's even, like, I don't know, you hear those stories, like, every once in a blue moon of someone, like, right before they died, they were like, today's gonna be a bad day.
Yes.
Like, could it have been something like that, I wonder?
I honestly think so. Even after knowing what I know now, that you don't know, I think so.
All right, let's get on with it. I'm dying to know the rest so that you don't have this over me.
I just love it because last week's case was so bonkers.
I threw for a few loops, right?
So
yeah, it was like, and guess what? They caught him. Just kidding.
Yeah,
There's another suspect.
And I was drunk and pissed.
I was drunk too, and I loved holding it over you. So I get it.
The officers also noticed Pamela's physical state, specifically the fact that she was completely wrapped up in a blanket and the no forced entry. They're thinking she definitely knew her killer.
Mm.
The ME reports Pamela was shot 4 times, then stabbed 4 times.
Oh my God.
They questioned the family to see who they thought the suspect would be. I mean, both Pam's mother, Betty, and her stepfather, Bob, say they thought it was her ex-husband, Mike. But this was mainly because he was a gun collector.
Yeah, lock him away just for that alone.
Her stepfather says that he had like 30 guns either at one point or currently like in his house. So he was like, red flag. It's him. I think it's him.
Yeah, I feel red flags by that too.
But
I'd like a full investigation.
Outside of this, I would still like a full investigation, of course. Other than that, there wasn't really any motive for Mike, and so this is kind of just dismissed. But there's not much for officers to go off of. They couldn't find the murder weapons and just had these like weirdo stories by these 2 men who knew Pamela, and that was really it.
So did these men know of each other?
No.
Okay. I'm almost wondering if Larry did and he's lying. In my head, I'm like, Larry knew that guy was in the house and Larry knew he's the killer, so he was framing him.
It's an interesting theory for sure.
I hate this. Continue.
So they go home that night and come back the next day, or they wait until daylight. It's not really specific, but they do wait until the sun comes up. Duh.
Okay.
And when it is daylight out, they're able to see this path in the grass because it had been dewy out. So it like left these footprints. I know, right?
Next best thing after fresh snow.
Literally. So they follow these like footprints and they leads to this wooded path behind Pamela's house, or this wooded area behind Pamela's house. There they find the knife that was literally like stabbed into the ground.
Okay, and whoever did this had like a lot of issues.
So much.
Like, what in the world?
It's crazy. They also find the small revolver, and it was under like some loose floorboards, and obviously they were the ones.
Wait, what do you mean loose floorboards? In the woods?
Yeah.
What were those doing there? He thought that was going to be a good hiding place? Like the police weren't going to check the wood floors.
He's like, I'll leave this here next to the obviously stabbed knife in the ground.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's like, you may as well have like put like a couch or something there to look less suspicious. Floorboards in the woods? Why would he put the murder weapon under those as if the police aren't going to be like, these are out of place. Let me check under them.
It's not a good place. And it makes me think, like, was he, like, trying to do this quickly? If we're thinking that it is either Larry or Patrick.
This is definitely frantic and, like, weird.
Exactly. So, obviously, these were the ones that were used on Pamela. They match it up. And the knife was actually one that was missing from inside her home.
Okay.
But both were wiped clean.
Okay.
In front of Pamela's home, though, they find Patrick's truck. And it was still parked there because after the phone call he made, he, like, got stuck in a ditch trying to leave.
Ooh. Is that God's work? Karma?
We'll see. Investigators...
He was like, no, you don't. The police are on their way.
He just suddenly grew grass in that one spot. He was like, nope.
Chains sprout up from the ground and wrap around his car. Some haunt.
He's like, I don't know how this happened.
You get what you get.
And so investigators are like, the truck's there. Why not just look at it and go search it? And what do you know? They look inside and find a candy wrapper. Look,
Not him snacking at 3 a.m.
Wow. And he's like,
that's the real crime.
He's like, I'm stuck here. I gotta eat candy wrapper. Like,
how Larry's a Southern Belle, but Patrick is that truck driver from SpongeBob. I don't.
Oh my god, I have to deliver the episode. I can't be asthmatic.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. But what's interesting about this is it's the same, like, candy wrapper that was found in Pamela's home. Like, it had been recently eaten and opened.
Wait, okay. This is throwing me for a loop.
Okay.
So, what do you mean?
So, in Pamela's home, she had this drawer full of candy, and they're like, oh, this is the same wrapper, same kind that Pamela has in her home.
Oh, she just also had that same type of candy.
Yes.
Not that candy came from inside her house, and that specific one they knew before was there and then got moved. It's like they saw, a matching set of...
Yes.
Okay, I understand.
And it all starts to make a little bit more sense when they match up the factory numbers that I guess were printed on it, which means they were made at, like, the same place and same time.
Oh, I love when they can do that.
So
It's like the boy in the box when they match the blanket.
Oh,
like,
my God.
Oh, cool.
It's so good and so
That's
smart. So they're
Yeah.
able to see that the one in his car is the one from that specific, like, box that she had in her home.
Oh my gosh.
But still, like, who really gives a what does that mean? You know?
Wait,
They need
why
a
did
little
I just
bit
get so
more.
wrapped up about candy? Why did I let you take me on that trip?
But it tells them that
I was like, no, he didn't snack at 3 a.m. out of her candy box. I mean, maybe he was just eating because he was stressed. He just found a dead body. And he was like,
let me take this.
where's the nearest binge? That's what I would do.
I know. And so they're like, okay, we need a lot more clues just to go off of this. And
Right.
they interview both men at the police station. They need more.
Okay, this is where they're going to get it.
Both Patrick and Larry had what looked like blood on their clothes.
Okay, but Patrick put himself in the position that is okay because he shook her.
Correct. Patrick's clothes in particular also had a leaf on his shirt. And
The woods! Patrick was in the
Listen.
woods.
Patrick also had specific types of vegetation stuck to his shoe, and that just means, like, plants and grass and
Uh-huh.
But other than that, I mean, that's it. He could have gotten that literally, like, anywhere.
I know our
really.
girls from Forensic Files are putting this together. They know exactly where
Everyone
that grass and
at
dirt
Forensic
came.
Files is suddenly all female.
Our girls.
Our girls.
They're mostly men, but
Yeah,
they're
but
my
it's okay.
girls.
They're the girls. They're the gals.
All
And
right, gals, let's get this.
The gals at Forensic Files. Oh my god. Okay. There's still nothing incriminating enough to jump out or say who did what, or even, like, who was there to commit the crime, really.
Right.
So the police are starting to have, like, a couple of suspects now. They're thinking about the ex-husband, Mike, Larry, and Patrick, but those are really the only men they have in their sights.
Mm-hmm.
Mike says he was out with friends at the time, so he's cleared. Larry flat out denied involvement, but, like, what does that even mean? And Patrick does too.
Okay, that's something that the perp would do.
Right, and both...
Like, they're not going to be like, yes, I was involved, but I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Just would deny altogether. No one's going to fess up.
And both Larry and Patrick do that.
Right.
They're stumped. The officers are a little stumped until they question the parents a little bit more.
Here we go.
Because every little hiccup and every piece of this puzzle was finally going to start making sense.
All right, so now they're questioning the parents. What's next?
Everything's next. Every little story starts pouring out, and I mean the floodgates literally open. I mean, at least it did for me when I finally heard what was going on, and I'm like, oh, everything is clicking.
But they thought it was Mike, no?
They thought it was Mike when they were first asked, but when they're pulled back in, they say besides Mike, they definitely believe Patrick had committed the murder. Patrick had been harassing Pamela at work for
I could have smelled this from a mile away.
On the phone.
Him driving up to her house and being like, the porch light is on. That is not an invitation, Patrick. Just don't come in.
Creepy stalker, basically. He had been calling her, harassing her on the phone for 6 months, and it turned out Pamela had even called the cops to report him a few months back, but there was nothing they can do since he hadn't committed an actual crime.
So did no one take the report then? Was there no evidence of that? The police couldn't have found that before?
I don't think they did. I think they just got lucky that the parents even mentioned it. I mean, of course, they could have looked into Patrick's records and see that he has some suspicious stuff that we will get into later on.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, they don't have anything hard to get him on,
Mm-hmm.
Pamela's pastor even got a call from her a few months back, before the murder, obviously. And Pamela was reportedly very...
Well, I don't know. Before the murder?
Before
obviously.
The murder. Well, because I said a few months back, and I'm before the murder, kind of
I know, but you're his pastor got a call from Pamela before the murder, obviously.
Oh.
But I'm I don't know. Maybe she was calling him from the great beyond.
Oh, my God.
If anyone was... The pastor would be the one to get that call, no?
No, I want to let the record show that this call came when Pamela was still alive.
Pre-mortem.
Yeah. Pamela was reportedly very scared and could not think straight, and the pastor said she was basically a wreck. Pamela said that Patrick was insistently asking her out, even though she was turning him down every single time. Patrick would reportedly stop by her house unannounced and just do chores around her house to try and, quote, win her over.
Oh, no.
And it becomes very clear that he had an obsession.
Okay, so I do remember you saying, though, that the men didn't know about each other. How was she engaged to Larry and he didn't know about Patrick?
Well, Larry says Pamela never told him anything. At most, she would say someone was, taunting her.
Okay, I'm not trying to point the finger or call anybody a horrible fiance, but...
I mean, it's definitely...
If your fiance is telling you, I'm being taunted by someone, wouldn't you be like, hey, you want to tell me a little bit more about that?
Mm-hmm. You want to, talk a little bit more?
He should have asked more follow-up questions.
I know, and it makes me question whether he just never followed up with her about it. I mean, even something so little as that, or it makes me think that maybe Pamela just didn't make it seem so serious.
Well, that's true too, because maybe, I don't know, you never think that someone is gonna be dangerous if it's from a quote loving place. Even obviously you and I know how dangerous stalking can be because we live for this and we read a lot about it, but I feel it would be very easy to just think oh, well, he likes me so much, it's kind of harmless. Even if it's a stalking situation, if it's from a place of quote love,
you're not gonna think
don't think it's dangerous.
Exactly. Even think on a smaller scale of friends now who you probably know who have that one guy that's obsessed with them that's literally downright crazy, and you're that's so weird. So I can imagine something like this too, that it translates a little bit where you're I don't think it's
you don't think everybody is Joe from You.
Yeah, exactly. You really don't. And you're only gonna tell I mean, sure, she told her pastor, but that's a different relationship entirely, obviously.
Yeah, but of course.
It's definitely it's hard. Police get to work on nailing this son.
Yes.
Investigators focus on the different types of grass that were found on his shoe, and when asked, Patrick claims he was running across our lawn and got stuck in the ditch, so this is why there's grass in his shoe. But police actually reach out to the University of Minnesota for a taxonomist, and that's an expert in living organisms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's here that we meet Dr. Anita Chalawa. She found lawn grass, crabgrass, and seeds that grow on weeds. And she thought this was originally suspicious because it's really rare for people to let weeds grow out that long to the point of sprouting seeds. She was like, if this was just on a lawn or something, you would mow it.
Mowed, yeah.
Exactly. So this tells her, like, he was in a wooded area.
Right. Or, like, at least just, like, not somewhere that anyone's tending to.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. They also found seeds from an aspen tree. Keep that in mind.
Don't know what to do with that, but okay. Here it is in my hands, an aspen tree.
The combination of both of those, which is, like, really the key or crucial points I took away from this, was the aspen tree and the seeds that grow on weeds, is that Patrick wasn't just on some normal, like, grass, like we said. He was in a very wooded area, which does not match up with his story at all.
I'm wondering, when he went to his truck to eat that candy, was it before or after he went to the woods? Because I wonder if he went back to his truck to eat that candy after he was in the woods, would they have found the dirt in his car? You know what I mean? It's just me getting off task.
But it's a good point, though. When they looked at Patrick's home, there were no weeds. There was no aspen tree. So, like, where could this have come from? Well, Dr. Chalwa was able to find... Okay, wait, this is so cool. Dr. Chalwa was able to find the specific wooded area near Pamela's home that grew these two types of vegetation. So the seeds from the weeds and the aspen tree. And what's crucial is that she pointed out, like, the exact same spot where the gun and knife were found.
Oh my god, is she a hound dog or what?
I was like, you better freaking get it. She was so good.
Love that.
She says also that the seeds specifically wouldn't stick to his clothes or shoes if they had been old.
Right, because they would have dried up and fell off.
Exactly. So she's like, this had to have been recent.
During the dew, probably.
During the dew. They analyzed the blood, and Patrick said, you know, he shook Pamela to see if she was alive. Like, that's why it's on him.
Right, that was so convenient.
But according to Barton Epstein, who was a forensic scientist on the case, the blood staining specifically was, quote, more consistent with him coming in contact with a large amount of Pamela's blood on his pants leg, and stains consistent with spatter found on him. So... Okay,
so he was near her when she was being stabbed.
Exactly.
Well, and also, not for nothing, okay, she was laying on the bed when he found her, let's say. He goes to shake her. Why would there be blood on his pants? You know what I mean? Like, I could understand it being on his shirt or something, or... like, if he's wearing a long sleeve and his shirt sleeve touched it, but why would it be on his pants?
Exactly. It's suspicious. Also, the size and shape of the blood stains, it doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. They said you could look at the blood stain pattern on the wall and determine the site where the impact took place. So they determined that she was attacked on the bed and it shot somewhere else.
Okay, like onto the...
ceiling.
Headboard?
On the headboard and the ceiling.
Okay.
They ended up finding, like, I think 4 or 5 stains just straight up on the ceiling, and they could tell by his pants and the blood on his shirt that he had to have been near her when all of that happened.
Wow.
And that's just, like, the easier version of it without getting too technical with it, but...
This is reminding me of the forensics in the Donna Winger case, where, like... the husband was saying he was in one spot, but the blood spatter evidence said that he was in another, you know?
It's so cool because it's like, these idiots don't even think of that.
Right.
But, like, you could literally tell from where you are that you're clearly were in that same position.
And I'm sorry, but, like, this crime specifically was so hastily committed. Like, the fact that the phone calls were 2 minutes apart. So, like, there was no time for him to even consider, oh my God, does it look wrong on my clothes? Like...
Exactly. He was just running about and, like...
I'm sorry, but that's what you get when you murder someone. You might be in a rush about it, and you might mess yourself up.
So, like I said before, they found bullet holes on the floor near the foyer, and they are able to tell that she was shot in the foyer, dragged upstairs, stabbed, and died from the wounds.
Wait, what in the world?
I know. So, they detail it all throughout the episode, but basically... whoever killed Pamela shot twice in the ground, shot her 4 times, dragged her body upstairs, and then stabbed her. Like, that
is so heinous. I can't even wrap my head around.
Exactly.
Like, what is... that is such, for lack of better words, like, overkill. Like, it's way too much.
Mm-hmm. I agree. They also find more nails to, like, Patrick's coffin, so to speak, because they find 2 bloody footprints in the kitchen that matched Patrick's tennis shoes.
Oh my god. Put this away.
Another one of your catchphrases.
Put this away.
It also comes out that 1 week earlier, Pamela had lost her house keys and had considered changing her locks.
I know who has them.
Who?
Patrick.
Exactly. In his truck, no less.
Did they find them in his
Yes.
truck? Next to the candy.
Literally. And so they're like, this was a planned attack. I mean, they also see that Patrick called his ex to get his .22 caliber handgun back because he wanted to, quote, go hunting. And they found the shells in his home and they collected it and matched it with the ones that were found at the scene.
So what are we still doing talking about this? It's Patrick, no? Don't tell me it was Larry somehow.
Imagine if I was like, you would think it's Larry. No, it is.
All this talking I did about Larry, man, I just have to say sorry.
But I mean, that's the way the officers were looking at him. That's the way you have to, like, look at stuff like this.
Unfortunately, that's the way it goes because most of the time it is the fiancé.
Mm-hmm. Some months before the murder, the two had actually been carpooling, Patrick and Pamela, because if you remember, they worked together. Mm-hmm. But Pamela ended, like, canceling that. She's like, I don't want to ride with you anymore because she felt uncomfortable in his presence.
Oh, poor Pamela.
And soon after that, she began getting all these harassing phone calls, which she believed to be from Patrick, which it 100% was.
I wonder if this, like, started to escalate because he found out she was engaged.
I didn't even click with that. I 100% agree because it was recent too.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't say how far back, but she recently had said yes.
Right.
I agree.
Oh my god, this is crazy.
Pamela told her pastor of all her fears, and she said that she didn't want to go to the police because she was afraid he would retaliate. I don't know if that's because of Patrick being a supervisor and her being a secretary, maybe, or just afraid that he would retaliate himself out of anger.
I mean, I think either way, she's very right to be concerned about him because clearly, like, look what happened. And it's just so sad that she never was able to, I don't know, separate, like, the consequences versus what could have, because obviously she didn't think that she was going to be killed. So it's sad that she wasn't able to say, like, would I rather he get a little mad at me for going to the police, or would I rather no one ever thinks it's going to get to that point. That is so devastating that it did.
And that's what's so sad with cases like these, like stalking cases like these, domestic violence cases. It's that you really don't, like, you're choosing the lesser of two evils always. And it's so sad that you don't even have, like.
And sometimes there is no option. Like, that you don't get the choice sometimes.
Exactly. Pamela refused to tell her supervisors at work because she was afraid they would think she was crazy, which is devastating as well.
I mean, also in the 90s, a woman in the workforce was not really super, like, protected. So
100%.
I don't blame her at all for having reservations about that.
Neither do I. Also, it comes out that the bar Patrick was at that night, that a waitress had a weird, like, encounter with him. She approached him to, like, pay for the drinks he had left at his table, and he grabbed her arm tightly, and he was like, what else do I get this $5 for? Like, trying to insinuate she should, like, do something else for the money.
What in the world?
Yeah, he was just overall, like, a bag of flaming pile of
It sounds like it.
A few years earlier, Patrick was also involved in 8 assault cases with other women and a suspect in a previous murder.
Oh my god.
So they're really thinking that this rejection of Pamela, and now also, thanks the proposal, I think, really enabled. I don't even want to use the word enabled.
It triggered him probably into being the monster that he already was.
It just resurfaced for him because his new obsession just, like, broke things off 100%. Right. The official story that they pieced together with all the evidence is that Patrick entered the home at 11 p.m. when Pamela was asleep. He ran to the hallway and she could hear someone was there because she was in the foyer, and there was a confrontation. He fired twice into the floor to scare her. The next 4 shots hit her. He dragged her body up to the bed and stabbed her to death, which is what caused the blood spattering on the ceiling, his clothes, and just all over the headboard. It also comes out that he did stay and, like, drink soda, eat her candy, just, like, I don't know.
That is
like,
so depraved.
Exactly.
For this person that he had feelings for.
It just shows you that, like, people like this are truly, like, not well.
Not capable of any kind of, I don't even know how to explain it, but, like, not capable of any kind of remorse or authentic love feelings, because he probably thought that she, like, I mean, when you're a stalker, you don't think you don't love that person. You think that whole time that you love that person. And
it just shows you how, like, twisted cases like this can be, honestly, and how they can really escalate. And it's just sad because there's all these accounts of him doing this before. And, like, just, it's hard to fathom what to do, what laws to set up, but it's like something has to be done. And that's is why I really wanted to do this case, because I think awareness above all is just the best thing you could do. Know your options, know what you can do, know what's in the laws, and just like be knowledgeable.
Yeah,
gain
for
knowledge.
Sure.
I have these links in our notes set up of just different links of just what it means to, what is stalking in the law, what is considered as attack, what's harassment, just these simple terms that legally can, like, you know, put someone away.
And not for nothing, this took place in the 90s when we weren't as protected by the law in the workplace. But nowadays, if this type of thing happens, you are protected in the workplace if you report someone that is an abuser or a stalker or anyone that's making you feel slightly uncomfortable or that you can't get your job done. There are so many options now.
100%. And you find that HR number, you call it, and, like, tell someone.
Right.
So, like we were saying, that little Patrick left the wrapper on his seat and got stuck on the ditch on his way out. So, like we were saying, he had to, like, come up with this whole alibi of, oh, I was there, I shook her, I did this, I did that. But it's like, no, you
How foolish was he? This is literally the sweetest karma. God was like, no, you don't. You are staying right there, and you are going to get caught for this.
That, the fact that her son wasn't there, I mean, like, obviously this whole thing is tragic in itself, but it's, like,
oh my God.
Traumatizing. Patrick was actually in the house when Larry was there, and he hid in the basement, so maybe he was making noise, and Larry
must have heard him, and that's why he was so nervous to stay.
Exactly. So, when Larry left, he went to,
Patrick went.
Yeah, when Patrick went, he went to go, like, dispose of evidence because he wasn't expecting her body to be found so soon, which explains the throwing of the gun under the floorboards, the stabbing of the knife into the ground.
Like, what was that? I'm sorry. What in the That guy is so depraved.
7 months after Pamela's death, Patrick did go on trial for first-degree murder, and the forensic evidence alone helped convict him. He's guilty, and he is in prison for life.
Yes.
I did read some articles that said he was up for parole in 30 years.
Absolutely
Which
not.
I'm like, I don't know whether it was appealed or if maybe I'm stupid, maybe life in prison mean you could be in parole.
30 years being as, like, now-ish?
Yeah. I couldn't find any recent articles detailing, like...
I'll find them.
If he was... Period.
We will keep this man behind bars. I'm sorry, but there is just a bad taste in my mouth because this man killed somebody and then ate candy.
Exactly, and it's like...
I'm sorry, the least of your worries is your little hungry tummy.
Yeah, like, and to drink soda, I'm like, I hope your gums rot.
Oh, I hope he got so many cavities. Ugh. And you know what? There's not a lot of stuff you can do for your dental
dental habits in prison.
I'm so mad I can't even form statements anymore.
But it was clear to everyone in the jury that they took less than 4 hours to decide he was guilty.
Good.
Like,
good. It took me 5 minutes. Thanks for listening. You can catch us on Instagram at The Chalkline Pod,
Twitter at The Chalkline Pod,
and follow along with our YouTube channel. The link is in our Instagram bio.
Tune in next Thursday for another story.